Picture this, two friends, same salary, same age, same starting point. By 55, one of them is semi-retired, traveling, completely stress-free. The other is still grinding, still broke, still wondering what went wrong. The difference wasn't luck, it wasn't income, it wasn't even how much they invested. It was the order in which they did it. Most people think building wealth is about finding the right stocks, the right crypto, the right hot tip. But I'm going to show you today that the sequence, the exact order you deploy your money, is worth more than any investment decision you will ever make. Get it right, and compound interest becomes your most loyal employee. Get it wrong, you're essentially shoveling water with a fork. And here's the part that's going to keep you watching until the very end. One of these steps involves a completely legal account that the IRS basically forgot to close the loophole on. Triple tax-free. Most people have never even heard of it. We'll get to that, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Because once you see the numbers, you're going to be angry nobody ever told you about this sooner. But before we dive in, if you're new here, my name's Daniel, and this channel is your no-nonsense financial GPS. No jargon, no fluff, no get-rich-quick fantasies. Just the real, proven strategies that actually move the needle on your wealth. If that's what you're here for, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications because we drop content like this every single week. All right, let's get into it. Let me give you a scenario that perfectly illustrates why the order you invest your money matters more than almost anything else. Meet Marcus. Marcus earns $65,000 a year. He's motivated, he's read some articles about investing, and every single month he puts $400 into a brokerage account buying S&P 500 index funds. He feels proud of himself. He's investing. He tells his friends about it. He checks his portfolio app 3 times a day. What Marcus doesn't realize is that he also has $8,000 sitting on 2 credit cards charging him 24% interest, and his company offers a 401k match that he has never once touched. So while Marcus is out here celebrating his investor status, his credit card debt is silently consuming $160 every single month in interest alone, and his employer has been waiting, month after month, to hand him free money that Marcus keeps refusing to pick up. Marcus isn't building wealth. Marcus is filling a bathtub with the drain wide open, and this is happening to millions of people right now. The painful part? It is completely fixable, but only if you follow the right sequence. Here's a number that should disturb you. The median emergency savings for Americans right now is just $500. Not $5,000, $500. That is less than most people's monthly car payment. And these same people are asking whether they should buy Bitcoin or Nvidia stock. It's the financial equivalent of debating which color to paint your living room while your roof is caving in. So let's fix that, starting with the absolute foundation. Step 1. Before a single dollar goes anywhere, not stocks, not crypto, not your cousin's business idea, you need an emergency fund. Now, I know what you're thinking. Daniel, I've heard this before. But stay with me, because what most people completely misunderstand is that an emergency fund isn't just about emergencies. It's about protecting every other financial decision you will ever make. Let me show you exactly what I mean. It's March 2020. The stock market just crashed 35% in 3 weeks. Sarah, who has no emergency fund, just lost her job. She is forced to sell her investments at the worst possible moment just to pay rent. She locks in massive losses and emotionally swears off investing for years. Meanwhile, Kevin, same job loss, same market crash, has 4 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. He doesn't touch his investments. He rides out the storm. 2 years later, he has made all his money back and then some. Same external event, completely different outcomes. The only difference was that emergency fund. That buffer didn't just save Kevin money, it saved him from himself. Now, the traditional advice says save 3 to 6 months of expenses, but let me give you something more practical. Start with $1,000 as fast as humanly possible. Sell stuff, cut subscriptions, pick up extra shifts. Then build to 1 month of expenses, then 3. Break it into chunks so it doesn't feel like climbing a mountain with no base camps. And here's a fascinating finding from Vanguard that most people never hear about. People with just $2,000 in emergency savings reported financial well-being scores that were 21% higher than those without any buffer at all. Just $2,000 changed the entire way people felt about their financial lives. The psychological power of that cushion is almost impossible to overstate. But once that emergency fund is locked in, this is where it starts getting interesting, because the next step is one that most financial gurus actually get completely wrong. Let's talk about the enemy hiding in plain sight, high-interest debt. And I mean anything above roughly 8% annually. Because here is the brutal mathematical reality. It is impossible to outinvest it. The stock market historically returns about 7 to 10% annually. Credit cards charge 22 to 29%. So when you are carrying a credit card balance and simultaneously investing, you are guaranteed to be losing ground every single month. It's like trying to fill a glass while someone pokes holes in the bottom with an ice pick.
Here's the scenario that makes this undeniably clear. You have $5,000 in credit card debt at 22%. You also have $5,000 you're thinking about investing. If you invest that $5,000 and earn a solid 8% return over 5 years, you end up with about $7,346. Sounds good, right? But during those same 5 years, your credit card debt, if you're only making minimum payments, will have cost you nearly $2,800 in interest alone. Net result? You're barely ahead. And that's assuming your investments actually return 8%, which is never guaranteed. Now flip it. You use that $5,000 to wipe out the credit card debt completely. You have just earned yourself a guaranteed 22% return. That beats Warren Buffett's long-term average every single year. No market volatility, no uncertainty. Guaranteed. The strategy is straightforward. List every debt you have ranked by interest rate from highest to lowest. Pay the minimums on everything, then throw every available extra dollar at the highest rate debt first. This is the debt avalanche method, and over a multi-debt payoff journey, it can save you thousands compared to any other approach. But here's where it gets really interesting. There is one enormous exception to the rule of paying off debt before investing, one situation where you should absolutely not wait. And it involves money your employer is literally trying to give you right now that you might be leaving on the table every single paycheck. Stay with me. Let's get something straight. There is no investment on earth that guarantees a 100% instant return. Not real estate, not the S&P 500, not venture capital. Nothing. Except one thing. Your employer's 401k match. Every single paycheck, millions of Americans are walking away from what is essentially a doubling of their money simply because they don't contribute enough to trigger the match. That is not a small mistake. Over a 30-year career, failing to capture your full employer match could cost you $200,000 or more in lost wealth. Let that number sit with you for a second. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say you earn $60,000 and your employer matches 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your salary. That means if you contribute $3,600 a year, just $300 a month, your employer hands you an additional $1,800 for free before your investments earn a single percent. That is a 50% guaranteed return before the market does anything at all. Here's the strategic play even if you still have high interest debt. Contribute just enough to capture the full employer match, nothing more. Then redirect everything else to destroying that debt. Once the debt is gone, crank those contributions up. This way, you're capturing the guaranteed 100% return from the match while still aggressively eliminating the drag of high interest debt. One thing you absolutely must check: vesting schedules. Some employers require you to stay for 2, 3, even 5 years before you fully own their matched contributions. If you're planning to leave your job soon, understand the timeline before you count on that money. In most cases, though, even a partial vest is worth it. All right, emergency fund, locked. High interest debt, gone. Employer match, captured. Now we enter what I call the tax optimization zone, and this is where most people leave a shocking amount of money on the table, and they don't even know it. Most people think their only retirement option is whatever their employer drops in front of them. That's like thinking the only restaurant in your city is the one closest to your office. There's a whole world out there, and in the investment world, that world is your individual retirement account. Here's why the IRA comes before dumping more money into your 401k beyond the match, and this trips people up constantly. Your IRA is entirely yours. You choose the brokerage, you choose the funds, and you can choose funds with expense ratios of 0.03%, essentially free. Many employer 401k plans, by contrast, are loaded with mutual funds charging 1 to 2% annually in fees. That might sound trivial, but on a $300,000 portfolio, 1.5% in annual fees is $4,500 disappearing from your account every single year, not going to your retirement, not compounding, just gone, straight into the pockets of fund managers who drive nicer cars than you do. Over 30 years, that fee difference alone can cost you $100,000 or more, not from bad investments, just from where you invested. For 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 to an IRA, $8,000 if you're 50 or older. Now here comes the decision that confuses almost everyone: traditional or Roth. And getting this wrong can cost you thousands in unnecessary taxes over your lifetime. Here's how to think about it clearly. You're 26, making $48,000 a year. You're in a low tax bracket now, but expect your income to grow significantly over your career. Go Roth. Pay the low taxes today, let the money compound for 35 years, and pull it out in retirement completely tax-free. The math over that time horizon is wildly in your favor. But if you're 52 in your peak earning years pulling in $180,000, a traditional IRA lets you shelter that contribution from your highest ever tax rate right now. Take the deduction today, pay taxes later when your income drops in retirement. Not sure which one fits you? Split the difference. Contribute to both. Tax diversification is one of the most underrated strategies in personal finance. Now, max out that IRA. Get it done. Because what comes next is the step I teased at the very beginning of this video. And when you see exactly how this account works, you are going to be furious that nobody ever explained this to you sooner. The health savings account. Before you check out thinking this is a boring healthcare topic, stop. Because used correctly, the HSA is arguably the single most powerful wealth-building account in the entire American tax code. I am not exaggerating.
Here's what makes it completely extraordinary. Most investment accounts give you one tax benefit. A 401k gives you a deduction now. A Roth IRA gives you tax-free withdrawals later. The HSA gives you 3 tax benefits simultaneously. Contributions are tax-deductible. Money goes in pre-tax. It grows completely tax-free while invested. And withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also completely tax-free. Tax-free in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. No other account in existence does all 3. But here's the advanced strategy that turns an HSA from a healthcare account into a retirement superweapon. Instead of using your HSA to pay for current medical expenses, pay those bills out of pocket if you can. Let every dollar in your HSA stay invested in the market, growing untouched and untaxed. And here's the part that genuinely blows people's minds. There is no time limit on HSA reimbursements. None. 0. You can pay for a doctor's visit today, keep the receipt in a folder or a Google Drive, and reimburse yourself from your HSA 20 years from now, completely tax-free. Imagine spending 20 years accumulating medical receipts totaling $40,000. You pull that $40,000 out of your HSA in retirement, tax-free, while the rest of your account keeps compounding. That is not a loophole. That is the system working exactly as designed. You just have to know about it. Let me show you the long-term math on this because it's staggering. Max out HSA contributions for 30 years, earn a modest 7% annual return, and you could have over $400,000 sitting in a completely tax-free account. And here's why that matters specifically. The average couple retiring today will spend over $300,000 on healthcare throughout retirement. And HSA doesn't just help with that cost. It can make it essentially disappear from your retirement budget entirely. For 2025, individual HSA contribution limits are $4,300. Family coverage gets $8,550. The only catch? You need a high-deductible health plan to qualify. If you're young, relatively healthy, and your employer offers an HDTP option, strongly consider making the switch. The long-term wealth-building advantage can far outweigh the higher deductible. There's one final major step before we reach the finish line, and it's the one most people jump to first, which is exactly why they end up so far behind. With your IRA maxed and your HSA fully funded, it's time to go back to your employer's 401k and max it out completely. Now we pour gasoline on the fire. The 2025 limit is $23,500. If you're 50 or older, you get catch-up contributions that take that ceiling to $31,000. At this stage in the sequence, something extraordinary is happening beneath the surface. Between your IRA, HSA, and fully maxed 401k, you could potentially shelter over $35,000 per year from taxation. Every single dollar compounding in these accounts grows without the IRS skimming their cut annually. Over 30 years, the difference between investing in tax-sheltered accounts versus taxable ones isn't just significant, it's life-changing. Let me put a hard number on that. $10,000 invested annually for 30 years at 7% in a tax-advantaged account grows to roughly $944,000. The same amount in a taxable account, after accounting for annual tax drag on dividends and capital gains, closer to $700,000. That is a $244,000 difference. Not from earning more, not from taking more risk, not from picking better stocks, simply from where you put the money. Here's a reality check worth acknowledging. The average American saves around 6% of their income. That's usually not even enough to max out their employer match and a basic IRA, let alone everything we've covered today. But if you can work through this entire sequence, if you can follow this order consistently, you are genuinely in the top 5% of wealth builders in America. You're not just ahead of the curve, you are playing a completely different game. And once every tax advantage door is fully open and fully funded, that's when we finally arrive at the step most people start with, the one they should actually finish with. Welcome to taxable brokerage accounts, the wild west of investing. This is where you can buy stocks, ETFs, REITs, bonds, options, crypto,
anything you want, with no contribution limits and no withdrawal restrictions. The flexibility here is real and valuable, but here's what most people completely miss. Every dividend gets taxed. Every realized gain gets taxed. Every time you rebalance your portfolio, it can trigger a tax event. The IRS has a permanent seat at your investment table in taxable accounts, and they never once pay for their meal. That said, there are specific situations where taxable accounts shine brighter than anything else. Scenario 1, early retirement. Want to retire at 45? Your 401k and IRA have restrictions and penalties on early withdrawals. Your taxable account has none. It becomes your financial bridge to freedom before the retirement account doors fully open. Scenario 2, medium-term goals. Saving for a house in 5 to 7 years? A taxable account is the right tool for that job. Your retirement accounts were never designed for it. Scenario 3, leaving a legacy. Assets passed to your heirs through a taxable account receive a stepped-up cost basis at death, potentially wiping out decades' worth of capital gains taxes entirely. It's one of the most powerful and underused wealth transfer strategies available to ordinary people. So use taxable accounts. Just use them last. Use them intentionally, and use them knowing exactly what you're dealing with. All right, let's bring this all home with the complete sequence one final time, because this is the roadmap, and I want it burned into your memory. Step 1, emergency fund, your financial immune system. Start with $1,000, build to 3 months of expenses. This is your foundation. Step 2, obliterate high-interest debt. Nothing beats a guaranteed 22% return. Kill it fast and kill it aggressively. Step 3, capture every single dollar of your employer match. Free money has an expiration date. Don't let it expire. Step 4, max your IRA. Lower fees, more control, your choice of low-cost index funds. Step 5, fund your HSA to the limit. Triple tax-free, the most powerful account most people completely ignore. Step 6, max out your 401k. Shelter every dollar you legally can from taxation. Step 7, then and only then, open the doors to taxable investing with full flexibility and full awareness. This sequence is not exciting. It will not make headlines. It is not going to get you viral on social media for picking the right meme stock. But follow it consistently, even imperfectly, for 20 years, and you will look around one day and realize you have built something most people only dream about. Genuine, real, lasting financial independence. Your future self is watching every decision you make today. Make sure they have something to thank you for. If this video gave you even one idea that changes your financial trajectory, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe if you haven't already. Every week we break down real strategies for building real wealth. No hype, no fluff, just the stuff that actually works. And drop a comment below. Tell me which step you're on right now. Are you still building the emergency fund? Fighting off debt? Already deep in the tax optimization zone? I'm Daniel. I'll see you in the next one.